Kadosh Boker Tov Masechet Yevamot Daf Gimel Amud Aleph 63A1. We're just going to start on Samech Bet Amud Bet, the last line, where it says, Haohev et Shechenav, somebody that loves his neighbors, Ve'amkarev et Krovav, and he brings the close people closer to him, Ve'anoseh et Bat Achoto, and he gets married to Bat Achoto, his niece. Yeah. So he says over here, and he's going to lend a sela to an ani b'shat dochako in the time of his pressing needs. Allah v'katuv omer on him, the pasuk says, "Az tikra v'Hashem ya'aneh." He will call out, and God will listen. Yeah, tishava yomar ineni. He will scream out, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu will say, "Ineni, I am here." Siman, now we're going to be giving a siman to remember. Okay? Isha, karka, ezer. Sorry. Zot, thank you. Shte berachot, tagare pachteh. Let's go. Amar Rabbi Elazar, says Rabbi Elazar. We just learned yesterday's daf. Kol adam shelo isha. We learned about that he doesn't have shalom, he doesn't have choma, he doesn't have all the different things. Now it's a new thing. Yeah? It says here, shnemar. It says over here, kol adam shelo isha, eno adam. He's not considered an Adam. Not considered an Adam. Meaning a person gets married, and all of a sudden now he's a human being. Beforehand, he's not a human being. Yeah, uklum. Uklumnik. Yeah? Exactly. So he says, Shnemar, Zacharun Keva Biram. Yeah? Zacharun Keva Biram. Huh? Zacharun Keva Biram, Vayikra et Shemam Adam. Yeah, so they called the name Adam. Okay, fine. Says the Gemara. The Amar Rabbi Elazar says Rabbi Elazar, Kol Adam shelo karka eno Adam. Not only if he doesn't have a wife, he doesn't have a property. A person has to have karka. If not, he's not an Adam. Why? Shneimar Hashem Shamim LaHashem. V'aretz natan l'bnei Adam. He gave the aretz to bnei Adam. So therefore, if a person doesn't have property, so he is not a bnei Adam. Yeah. Rabbi Elazar says, Rabbi Elazar, my dichtiv, what does it mean in the pasuk Eselo Ezer Kenegdo? Zacha Ozrato. If a person zoche, she'll help him. Lo zacha Kenegdo. If he's not zoche, yeah, famous Gemara. These are very famous Gemara. By the way, right? I think it's a Chochmat Manoach on this Gemara says, why does it say zacha, right? Velo zacha. What is zacha? Right? Why is the word zacha? Zacha is like that he's got a zechut. Why is there a zechut? Why do you need a zechut for that? So he went and he explains that just like it says, kasher zivugan shel Yisrael, right? Kasher zivugan shel Adam, kekriyat yamsuf. By kriyat yamsuf, it wasn't enough that a person didn't sin. They needed a zechut. That means they needed something positive, not something negative. So that means lo chata. Ezer chata kenegdo. No. They needed zechut for kriyat yamsuf. So the same thing for the zivug. It's not enough that a person never sinned in their life. It has to be that they need a special zechut in order to be zacha. Zacha means that you have a zechut, not that you just didn't sin. It has to be on the positive side. Zacha ezer lo zacha kenegdo. The ika damri. Some people say Rabbi Elazar Rami. Elazar, he has a contradiction. Kativ, it's written kenegdo. Ekarin right kenagdo, which means that it's written kilu lealkotot, to give him lashes. Right? That means the woman was here to give you lashes. Yeah, kenegdo. Gemara mefureshet. Yeah, but we read it kenegdo, right? Which is opposite him. Okay, kenegdo. So what's the explanation there? So zacha kenegdo. He's zoche. Then she's kenegdo. Lo zacha. If he was lo zacha, she gives him lashes. 100%. But it depends on you, not on her. Go to the stick and beat the stick. Not to beat the stick.
In a good
case, it's the first.
In the worst case, she malka אותו.
Exactly. But זה לא קשור אליה. זה לא קשור אליה. זה קשור לבן אדם. בדיוק. זה קשור לבן אדם.
זה מה שאמרו לכם המרוקאים.
לא, הגמרא אומרת את זה. הגמרא says it. So the truth is, though, that kenegdo, there's two explanations. But if you look in the Netziv on the parasha, the Netziv actually explains that if she's an ezer, that in itself is kenegdo. What does that mean? Many times a person gets upset, right? He gets upset. Let's say his friend, he didn't give him the kavod that he needed. Yeah, so all of a sudden he comes home. You could see this guy. He didn't answer my text, right? He didn't give me aliyat shishi. He didn't. So what happens? He gets all upset. The wife comes. Oh, you're right. He also did this to you, and he did that to you, and he did this to you. That is an ezer, but she's actually kenegdo. Exactly. That's kenegdo. Now why? Because you think she's helping you out, right? And then what happens is opposite. But now what happens? You come home and you say, "Look at this guy. He went and he didn't give me aliyat shishi, whatever." What happens? All of a sudden she comes and he says, "What are you talking about? He gave you to carry the Sefer Torah, and he gave you petichat Hechal, and he gave you this." So she's like, "Allah, yeah, you're always against me." Well, there she's kenegdo. She's actually helping you out. Huh? So now it says the Gemara, Ashkecha Rabbi Yosel Eliyahu. So Rabbi Yosel once found Eliyahu Navi Elmaleh. He says, "Ketiv eselo ezer. I'm going to make an ezer for him. What does she help you? What does a woman help her husband with? What? Yeah, with passing the credit card. What is she helping? So he comes and he says, Amallo, he says, Adam mevi chitin, chitin koses, pishtan lovesh. Yeah, lo nimset mi'ira enav mamitol rakav. This is 1 second. When you come and you bring home, let's say you're going to bring home wheat. What does she do? She comes, he doesn't eat the wheat the way that it is. She comes, she makes the food. Right? She has to make the chidah. He brings home pishtan. He doesn't wear pishtan. He has to come and she has to make clothing. And then he's going to bake it. So what? Is she not illuminating his eyes and putting him on his feet? Yeah, are you heard? You heard? He comes and he says, Lo nimset mi'ira enav. She's illuminating his eyes. Mamidato laglav. She's putting him on his feet. A powerful Gemara. Eliyahu Navi. Right, ואמר רבי אלעזר, says רבי אלעזר. כן, הוא מכין אוכל בשביל כל הזמן. והוא עושה את הקניות של ה...
לא משנה.
מה דכתיב? What does it mean? What does it mean in the pasuk? זאת הפעם עצם מעצמי ובשר מבשרי, מלמד שבא אדם על כל בהמה וחיה ומקרב לדתות שבא על חווה. Adam and Ishon had relations with every single creature, right? Every single behema v'chaya. But he wasn't appeased until he went with Chava. When he went with Chava, then he was happy. Amar Rabbi Elazar says Rabbi Elazar. Which one? No, but this is the explanation. He says, no, he says here, Zotapam etzem me'atzamai. This is the time. Why this is the time? Well, beforehand you didn't know. No, he now realized, right? Why lezoti kare isha ki mishlu kochazot. Remember that she comes from you. At the end of the day, she's coming 100% from you. Amar Rabbi Elazar says Rabbi Elazar. My dictive, what does it mean in the pasuk? That all the families of the world are going to be blessed by you. This is by Abraham Avinu, right? By Abraham. Amar le HaKadosh Baruch Hu Abraham says HaKadosh Baruch Hu to Abraham Avinu, shte brachot tovot yesh li le'abrichecha. I've got 2 brachot to give you. What are the 2 brachot? Ruta Moaviyah and Naama Hamonit. Ruta Moaviyah and Naama. Kol mishpechot adama, afilu mishpachot hadorot ba'adama. Right? He comes and he says, even when we're talking about the mishpachot, which are going to be adarot ba'adama, and mibarchot al mishvisat, that means everybody, even the goyim, they're only blessed because of Israel. Meaning, as long as the Jews are doing their mitzvot, even the goyim are blessed. If the Jews are not doing the Torah mitzvot, they're not going to be blessed. Now, it's interesting that he says, kol mishpachot adama, the 2 brachot is berechot. It's like instead of brachot, it's berechot. What are we referring to? It says here, because it's like habracha. So he comes and he says it's harkava. It's basically coming and he's saying that I'm going to be markiv. So these 2 were the giorot, right, which are actually like the branches which are coming out from other places, but they're coming into the Ummah Yisraelim, and therefore he says that all the Ger Tzedeks are considered children of Avraham Avinu, meaning a real Ger Tzedek, right? A real Ger Tzedek is under Avraham Avinu. They come under the wings of Avraham Avinu. So therefore he comes and he says this beracha. So he says, what does it mean now? Kol goye haaretz afilu sinot baot migalia laspamia. Even when you're going to have Galia is Sarfat, right? France, yeah? Right? What is the goal? The old name of France. So that's what it is. So therefore, if you even have boats which are coming from France to Espana, Spain, yeah, Sfarad. So he says that means you're taking a boat. I don't know why you need a boat from France to Spain. You just don't travel downwards, but I guess they wanted to go around a little bit. They're going to be blessed because of Israel. Next, right? Do you know that in the future, all the Ba'alei Umaniyot, they're going to be on the karka? What does it mean? When Mashiach will come, they're going to leave their crafts, their professions, and then they're going to come and they're going to be plowing, planting, working the land. They're going to go down from the boats. All the ones which are taking care of the boats and everything. They're going to go to the Aretz. Amar Bilazar says Bilazar, okay, there's nothing which is actually less, right? That's less than the karka, which means lowly. Thank you. It says in the pasuk yaredu, that they went down. Bilazar chazia lahi ara ishti bekrava leputia. So he says once it happened to Rabbi Lazar, he saw a certain type of a field, which was right. They had the plowing, right, which was done to the width. Elmaleh, he says, even if you're going to do it to the width, to the length, it's better to do business dealings, right, than doing this. Which means, right, it doesn't matter what you're going. It's always better commerce and always better all these, business is better than doing, work on the land. Rav al lebene shible. Also, Rav went into a field which he passed by shibule dagan, which is basically the grains. Chazanu de kanaifan, and he saw that they were moving in the wind. Amalehu, he went and he said, right, even if you're going to come and you're going to be blowing in all directions that you want, it's still better to work in the commerce and business than to come and start dealing, right, with the land. Okay, so again, here we're all talking about different things, how the work of the land is a very tedious job. It's very dirty work, yeah. Okay, Amar Rabba says, right, if a person has 100 zuz in esek, in business, kol yoma bitzer v'chamra, so then he can eat every single day basar v'yayin, meat and wine. Okay, that means he's going to get a lot of good business deals. Yeah? Yeah. So he says, mea zuze be'ara, if you have 100 zuz in land, milcha v'chafura, you're going to only eat melach, right, and yerek, which is not mevushal. Right, this is the melach, yeah? And yerek, vegetables, which is not mevushal. The Lord, and not only that, he's going to have to sleep on the floor. And he's going to bring a whole bunch of machlokot on the karka, because people are going to say it's his land, their land. Right? Amar of Papa says, Zera velatas bin. You should always be zorea, right, for what you need in your family. Velatas bin, but don't sell it to the shuk. Even if the hotzaot in buying it and growing it is the same, it's still better to do it on your own. Hani mibarchan, because they're going to have a biracha in it, it's going to grow more. Which means beforehand, right? Somebody, we don't want to mention names because you're on the recording, right? He mentioned, you buy everything in the marketplace, you buy everything in the store. Absolutely. You understand? He says, no. Even if it costs the same price, the exact same price, we're not talking about that it costs cheaper. Even if it's the exact same price to make it yourself and to buy it in the store. Right? For example, somebody comes and he says, listen, nowadays, why do you need a woman? Go buy chalot in the bakery. You understand? The exact same price. Maybe it costs the exact same price by the time you came and you bought the flour and the yeast and the water and the salt and all these things. Right? What happened? It's still better to do it yourself. Why? Hani mivarchan. There's a special bracha. Right? There's a special bracha. Has to be your wife. Ena bracha. Right? The ena bracha, the bracha in the house comes from the woman. She brings the bracha in the house. Okay? Remember that. We wrote that already. Right? Many, many times. We wrote down that a person's parnasa comes from his wife. If he's mechabed et ishto kara'ui, he has parnasa b'shefa. Yeah, 100%. Okay? Zabin, velat ezul. Sell your properties and then use it for mischar, for business. But he says one of these words, bistarke. He's talking about here to do with the kliya bait, for example, carpets and things like that. But your clothing, lo mitramyale, right? Don't sell your clothing. Why? Because when you need it, you will find the clothing. Meaning some people, don't just no. Your own clothing, don't sell. Tom velo teshapetz, right? If right now you have a hole, right, in the wall, right, close it immediately, right? This is incredible that we were just. I was in the car with somebody yesterday and he told me this. He goes, they had the little cracks in the wall. He says you have to take care of it immediately. Why? Because if no water goes through, and once water goes through, kaddish. In a sense, so it's incredible. We just see it right here. Wow. So he says shaputz velativne, right? If you're one of those people that they come, right, and you like the beauty of the house, you don't want to just come, close it off. You understand? So he says, okay, fine. So then fix it, but don't tear down the wall and build it up again. Shekola osek bebinyan is anybody that comes and starts doing, right, renovations, nitmasken, he becomes poor, right? This is based upon also peliyuetz. If you look in the peliyuetz says the person should be very, very careful, right? There he's talking about not doing aliyah when you're young. Only after you already have children and you married them off and everything, then you can do aliyah, because he says that if you do aliyah, and remember, this is a peliyuetz, we're not talking about 1,000 years ago. So he says, because if not, what happens is you do aliyah, and then what happens is you don't have enough money because you still have children to marry off, you still have this, you have a lot of expenses, and then you have to go out again. Yirida. So he says it's better not to until you're 100% settled. So he says, yeah, there's a lot of people that we know that they went and then they have to come back. So fine. So what happened? One second. So he says the peliyuetz comes and he says that what are we talking about there? He says also because one of the reasons is because if a person starts doing binyan, building, it costs always double or triple than what the real amount is. I mean, somebody comes and he says, okay, fine, I want to build a house. How much is it going to cost? 100,000, 200,000. I want to do renovation. 10,000, 12. It's never that. It's always extra. They took down a certain. All of a sudden there was a problem here, a problem there. You have to spend more there. The material just went up. This, that. There's always a story. You will always spend more than what you thought you were going to spend. Always. It doesn't exist that you're going to spend the exact same amount. So because of that, he comes, the Gemara Mefureshet, the peliyuetz brings it down. I think the peliyuetz is actually in Binyan. You can look it up. So he says, Kola osek bebinyan, nitmasken. He becomes an ani. Yeah, mamash, becomes an ani. Kefotz vezavin ara. Whenever you have opportunity, jump and buy a piece of property. Metun nesiv itata. But when you're going to get married, do a b'metinut. Don't jump to get married. Take your time. Shwai. Like, why? Because at the end of the day, you could always sell a piece of property, but you can't sell your wife. You understand? It's you understand? Yeah, you understand? So he says you have to check her actions. And maybe she's not an isha ra'a v'kantanarit. Yeah? Nachi darga nesivitita. Go down from your madrega and get married. What does that mean? It says, don't get married to a woman that she's even more important to you, because if not, you're not going to be accepted in her eyes. Okay, so therefore it means you always have to take a woman which is less than you, not more than you. If you're going to take a woman that she's higher up than you, it's going to be a problem. She's smarter than you. She has more success than you. She's this. So, and by the way, you should know, even until today, I know a lot of cases, this causes a lot of problems of Shalom Bayit. Why? Because she's better than him.
What?
Yeah, she's better than him. It could be in Chokhmah, it could be in Hatzlacha, it could be in many things. Very, very careful. Sak darga bechar shushbina. Go up in a madriga, right? It means you should go up in the madrigot to choose a good friend. That means to do with your wife, always choose somebody below, right? Not below in religious ones, below in stature, right? But to do with a friend, go up and choose your friend. Okay? Says Rabbi Elazar Ravina. Bad things happen also only because of the Jews. So there he says that I've smitten the Goyim, I've made desolate their corners, I've destroyed their cities, and it's written afterwards that I went and I told them why. Because you, the Ummah Israelite, you have to take Musar. Once Rav was separating from Ruchia. Elmaleh, he says, Rachmana litzlach mimidi de kashem imota. HaKadosh Baruch Hu should save you from something which is worse from death. So ask the Gemara, is there something worse than death? He went out and he found, I found a bad wife is worse than death. Yeah, so therefore what? He went and he said, what are you laughing so much? Yeah? Yeah, he comes and he says, I found what's worse than death? A bad wife. A bad wife is that's worse than death. Also death brings Olam Haba. Yeah? Also death brings him to Olam Haba. Yeah? Rav, Ava Kametzare Ledvitu. It once happened the wife of Rav was causing him problems. Ki Amarla, when he used to tell her, Avidali Tfufche, come make me adashim lentils, Avda Lechimse. She used to make him kidniyot, fry beans. Chimse, when he used to ask for kidniyot, for beans, Avda Letrufche, he used to make lentils. Ki Gadal Chia Bre, so when Chia, his son, the son is Rav Chia, the son of Rav. So when Chia was becoming older, Apichla, he turned it around, he switched it. So the father asked for lentils, he asked the mother for beans. And beans, lentils, then he actually got what he wanted. Elmaleh, he went and he said to his son, wow, what? Your mother, she did teshuvah. Yeah, he went and he told his son, wow, your mother did teshuvah. Elmaleh, he said, no, I changed it around. So that way you get what you want. Elmaleh, he says, this is what people say, the child that comes from you is going to teach you. Meaning, Chacham Banana, why didn't he ever think of doing that? You understand? Why didn't he ever think of, meaning his own child was one that taught him that, but at lo tavidachi, don't do that. Why? Shneimar says in the Pasuk, Limdu leshonam daber sheker ha'aveh. You're going to teach your child to start saying sheker. Now, even though this was the toilet, the child wasn't stam lying because he wanted to lie. He was doing it also in order for what? To make shalom bayit. Still, do not teach the children, right, to lie. Because the second that you teach them to lie when they're young, kaddish, there's nothing what to do after this. Yeah? Reb Chia, his wife, right, like father, like son, no? So now the father, his mother was causing him problems. So now the son, the wife was causing him problems. When he used to find something in the shuk, he used to bring it and bring it to her. Rav comes and he says, what are you doing? She's causing you problems. Why are you showing her so much chibah? Mama, imagine right now, a woman's causing you problems. Instead of causing her problems back and, telling her, all these things, what do? Opposite. You come, you be nice. You give her extra. You show her chibah. Elmaleh. He comes and he says, Tayenu shemegadlot banenu matzilot otanu minachem. Hakarat hatov. Yeah, very important. We have to learn this again. Chazarot. Samech Gimel Amud Bet. Yeah, so he says what? 63b. They come and he says, Mamash, they save our children. They save us from sin. They grow our children. That's already enough. You know what it is? By the way, you should know. Makri le Rav Yehuda, the Rav Yitzchak Bereh. It once happened. Rav Yehuda was teaching Rav Yitzchak his son, and he was teaching in the pasuk that I found worse than death, the woman. Amalei, he says, Kigon man, for example, who? So he answered in Kigoni Mechal, like your mother. Yeah, he says, your mother. So he says, yeah, says 1 second, but it's written that a person will only find korat ruach from his first wife. You're going to be happy in the first wife. Yeah, and he told him, what? It's the first wife, you heard? What's so funny?
אני צריכים לעשות את הגמרא הזה בפלק. אתה יודע כמו יש שם את הקיטורת? זה גם בפלק.
You heard, yeah? You heard. Okay. So we have a stira. The contradiction is, here he comes and he says, the child asks his father, what does it mean? He says, your mother. And then the other one, he comes and he says that you don't find korat ruach unless it's your first wife. And then he comes and he says, your sources should be blessed. And you should be happy with Eshet Nurecha. It's your first wife. So yes, for example, who? Your mother. What's going on here? Answers the Gemara, Mitkaf Kekifa, she was Bemet Anisha Kasha. Ta'abura mi'abra b'mela. But, right, she was Ma'avira Midotea Bekius Kal. I mean, she was very, very tough. But she used to give in quick. She used to forgive quick. So because of that, that's a Korat Ruach. That means even though she was very strong And that's why he was saying, like, for example, your mother, that she's, but she was mavida midutea. She used to be appeased very quickly. Says the Gemara, what is a bad woman? I want you guys to listen very, very carefully. I was actually just learning this yesterday in the Kolel. What is an isha ra'ah? Right? Because we were learning in the Kolel that an isha ra'ah, right, or an isha that's not going snua, there's a mitzvah legaresha. There's a mitzvah to get her married, to get divorced from her. So the Gemara says, Amar Abai says, mekashta letaka u mekashta lepuma. He says, what does that mean? That she's mekashetet lo et shulchan, right, in order to give him a meal, or mekashetet lo, right, as if to say her mouth to curse him. Meaning at the same time that she's coming and making him food, she's cursing him out in order to make him suffer. So she's giving him the meal, but all the klalot that he heard until then, he heard enough. But Rava comes and he says something incredible. Mekashta letaka umehadre legaba. She prepares him the meal, but then she turns her back. So therefore, she's not, meaning that she doesn't want him to eat with her. Meaning that basically, Kilu, she's preparing them the table, but then she turns around. So if you actually pay attention, one of the explanations here, though, is how did you understand Mekashta letaka, right? He comes and he says, one of the explanations, though, is something a little bit different. It says here, Mekashta letaka, he comes and he says, right? So here in the footnote, he comes and he says that the explanation actually is that that really we're talking about relations. This is the Maharal and the Ben Ishchai. We're talking about relations. What does it mean? What does that mean? She's preparing him the table, meaning that she's trying to entice him to have relations. And all of a sudden, when it comes to the time, she gives him the back, and she doesn't give it to him. So that's the explanation of the kashta letaka umehad legaba. Huh? No. That's just the mehad legaba. She's giving him the back. She doesn't want him to do anything. So Amar Rabbi Chama bar Chanina. Says Rabbi Chama bar Chanina. Kevan shenasa adam isha. The second a person gets married, avonotav mitpakekim. His sins are nistamin. Rashi says. What exactly is nistamin? Right? Shneimar matzah isha matzah tov. Right? Vayafek ratzon me'Hashem. So do you know, what does this mean? People think that they get forgiven. Did you just say that it's gets forgiven? Who's says the Riyaf. Who's the Riyaf? A Rif or Riyaf. Who's that? No? Rav Yoshiyahu Pinto. Rav Yoshiyahu Pinto Harishon. Yeah, Agadol. Rav Yoshiyahu Pinto, he wrote the Sefer Riyaf, right? On the En Yaakov. Yeah, and also, some people call it the Rif, but usually it's the Riyaf. Now the Riyaf, he actually also has a Sefer on Chumash that I was never able to get, right? Which is called Kesef Nivchar. Something incredible on the Parashiyot. Something not normal. We're talking about, remember, he was the Mechutan of Shmuel Vital. So we're talking about he was the Acharon of the Musmachim. He was like one of the Gdolim, Gdolei Olam. Okay? Which one? I don't know if you could even find it. I don't know if you could find it. Yeah? Right? Kesef Nivchar. So there, it's also brought down in the Riyaf on the Gemara Berachot, on this Gemara, when it says B'Ma'arava, in Eretz Yisrael, Kinasiv, when a person used to get married, they used to tell him Matzah Motzeh. Matzah, because it's written Matzah Isha Matzah Tov. Motzeh, remember V'ta Isha. He explains beautifully, and I say this a few times in Sheva Berachot. Incredible. He says, what's the explanation? He says, we think that we're talking about the woman. He comes and he asks, do you think we're talking about the woman? He says, Misken, the man, he doesn't know his wife. He just got married to her. During Sheva Berachot, you're going to ask any man in the world, he's going to say, yeah, he found the jewel of his life. You understand? He doesn't know that she's going to be a bad woman in another year. He doesn't know what's going to happen in another 10 years, right? He thinks, so what does that mean? And let's say, Be'emet, it's actually a bad wife. What are you trying to do? You're trying to Yonachem Oto? You're trying to ask him, Matzah or Motzeh? Misken. He fell, Nafal Babot. You're going to shove it in his face. You're going to rub it. Don't kick a dead horse. So he comes and he says, what the explanation is? You're giving musar to the Khatan. It's not the woman. You're giving musar to the Khatan. Matzah or Motzeh. When you get married, all your sins are nistamim. What are nistamim? They put them in a kufsa. They put them in a box. Now we're going to see what's going to happen. If you're going to do teshuvah after marriage, and you're going to be on the good things, so then matzah isha matzah tov. Why? not only are those averot going to be forgiven, now you're going to be continuing in a good path. So matzah isha, matzah tov, you found all the good in the world. However, though, if chas v'shalom you're going to go back to your bad ways, the woman now was actually a cause that now I'm going to even go even worse, because now all those averot that I had in the box, they're going to come back onto me. They're going to come back onto me. So therefore, the cause that when he found the wife, it's actually going to be worse now. Because beforehand, he had a thing. Why was he there? Lo ya lo isha. If he didn't have a woman, he was immature. He didn't have this. So he did averot. But now that he has a wife, he should grow up. If he doesn't grow up, that's going to be worse. So that's what the Riyaf says. That's the explanation. Doesn't mean chalim. Nistamim. They get closed off in a box, and we're going to see what happens later on. Lo nimchalim. Let's see what's going to happen in the future. That's why in Eretz Yisrael, they used to ask, was it nothing to do with the woman? It had to do with you, the chatan. We're giving musar to the chatan. Yeah, many times I start that off, and the women start saying, they start getting all offensive. But once you come and you say, no, the woman is always a tzedek, it's kilu. Yeah, but then afterwards, what happens is on the chatan, right? Yeah, there you have it. Okay? Says the Gemara. Amar Rava. Rava says, Isha ra'a mitzvah legarasha. A bad woman is a mitzvah to divorce her. It says in a pasuk, karesh letz yetze madom vishpot din bekalon. What does it mean? Isha ra'a zo, that Rava says it's a mitzvah, we're talking about that's mitzvotzetzet al bala. So if a garesh letz, she's laughing against her husband. So you have to be magaresh letz. Why? She's doing mockery of her husband. Divorce her. Okay? So he comes and he says, yetze madom vishpot din bekalon. Right? It all depends. But if it's a mitzvah, no, because it all depends on the but it all depends on the circumstances. Depends on the circumstances. In a sense, sometimes if it's a nisha shera b'deotea, or she's not snua, it's a mitzvah lekasha. A woman that's not snua, you have to divorce her.
Okay,
yeah, whatever it is, so it's a mitzvah to divorce her. 100%. Okay, ve'amar Rava says, isha ra'a uktuvata merubah sarata betzida. He says, what happens now if a person has a bad wife, but he gave her a big ketubah? When he got married, he wasn't thinking. He went and wrote in the ketubah, 100,000, a million, and now what happens now? Sarata betzida. So now what does he have to do? Get another wife. Why? If you bring in another wife, what's going to happen? That's going to be the best musar against her. The Amni Inshabas people say, b'chaverta velo b'silata. She's going to be, right, b'chaverta velo b'silata. Here it means a woman humbles herself and she's mekabelet tochacha from her chaverta, from her friend, more than a kotz. Meaning, if you're going to go against her with a kotz, it's not going to help. And instead, you could pop the bubble, nothing will happen. But if you're going to bring in another woman and now she's going to be jealous of her, now she's going to change her ways very quickly. Okay. The Amar Rava says, Kasha isha ra'a kiyom sagrir. A bad woman is as bad as a how do you call it? Gray and rainy day. Okay, thank you. A swear. So it is like stormy day. Stormy. Shneimar, it says in a pasuk, Delef tored biyom sagrir be'eshe midyanim nishtava. Which means it's just like when you have, the tips. When you have the tipas, when they're coming down, the drops, when they're coming down in your house, drizzling in your house, when a person has a leak and it's driving you crazy. So everyone is like, they go into their houses and all these things. So the same thing, Isham rivot, right? Shavim. So the same thing, when a woman that she's always fighting and everything, it's the exact same thing. You want to close yourself up and you don't want to be with her. The Amar Rava says, look how good is a woman that she's a good woman. And look how bad is a woman that's a bad woman. If the pasuk is talking about kipshuto, which is a isha atzma, so then kama tova isha tova shaktu b'shamcha. Look how good the woman is that the Torah is praising her. If the Torah is praising the Torah is talking about Torah, that the isha here is the Torah. That means if the Torah is good, so look how good. Kama tova isha tova shetorah nimshlaba. Look that the woman is compared to Torah. She's the cause for Torah. Kama, that's what you were mentioning before, yeah, Mr. Sion, thank you. Right? Kama yira'a isha ra'a. But when it says over here that look how bad is a bad woman, if the Torah is talking about a bad woman, so kama ra'isha ra'a shakatu megana. Look that the Torah is talking about it. It's mami mavet. It's bad. It's worse than death. If it's talking about ginam, that means here we're talking about the isha is ginam, right? It's not isha. Isha is ginam. So he says, look how bad the one is that she's compared to Ginam. Okay? Next. What? No comment. You want to speak about who? Huh? And he's Nimshela Ginam. בדיוק. I'm going to bring onto you something bad, you won't be able to get out of it. I'm going to bring you a woman, she's a bad woman, and she has such a high ketubah, you can't get rid of her. Yeah, it's too expensive for you, so you don't know what to do. So that's, huh? Says the pasuk, Netanani Hashem bideh lo uchal kum. What does it mean that I'm going to give them in the hands of someone that you won't be able to even get out? Also, you're in her hands, you can't even get up. Yeah, why? Because at the end of the day, it's an ishara and she has a big ketubah. They said, so this is somebody that he does not have, that is mizonot or dependent upon his money. It says here he doesn't have land in order to plant, right? To have the necessities what he needs. So he's talui legamre in tevuah, which is in the shuk. So it's very, very bad. Why? Because all of a sudden, maybe the prices are going to go up, inflation, and now he has a problem. So that's mizonotav tzulim because what that means mizonot is talui in his kesef and not in his field. Okay. So again, that means everyone should have their own field that's growing. You know, whether it's going different things. These are all. This is now in Devarim, in the Klalot over there. The other one was in Hechal. This one says your sons and daughters are going to be given to another nation. Right? What is Av Amacher? Eshet Av. Meaning that what happens is going to happen is that the father is going to come and going to get married to another woman, and then she's going to be an Em Choreget. So that's the explanation. Eshet Av. This is a pshat of Banecha Unotecha are given to an Amacher. Right? It's a curse, but this curse is actually for the woman if you paid attention. Yeah, but it says here, Adam anose isha shniya notenet banav miswa v'kolbim lidei amacher, which means that now you have the new wife, right? The husband gets married to a new wife. The new wife is taking care of the children. That's amacher. That's banecha v'notecha la'amacher. Yeah, yeah. Even though the truth is, it all depends on their age. That's the truth. Begoy naval achisem. What does it mean? Begoy naval achisem. Amar Rechana barav amarav. So isha ra'ah. The same thing. Why? Because it's a goy naval. So I'm going to make them angry for the goy naval. Eliezer says, no, these are the minim, the heretics. Right? That's what I'm going to that they go in the shuk naked. There's nothing worse than these people that they go in the shuk, you know, like with nothing. Okay? Rabbi Yochanan says, Elu chabarim. What is chabarim? The Parsiim, right? That they come in their mevazet Israel. They don't understand the kavod of Israel. Amru le Rabbi Yochanan, told Rabbi Yochanan, atu chabare leBavel. Says what? Did the chabarim come to Bavel? Shega nafal. So Rabbi Yochanan, he fell because that means when they told Rabbi Yochanan that these people they came to Bavel, he put his head down. He was being mitztaer that how could it be? Amru le mekable shochta. So he says, yeah, but they're mekabel shochad. So he says tarit yativ. So then he stood up again. Because once he realized that these people, they accept shochad, don't worry about it. We'll give them shochad and that's it. Understand? Because sometimes the goyim, they make the decrees. But if you're able to give them shochad, what do you care? Give them shochad and that's it. You understand? So these chabarim, these chabarim, right, these are the Parsim, the Persians, they made shlosha dvarim. They were gazru on three things. Yeah, you heard? Shlosha dvarim. Says number one, mipnei shlosha, because of three things. What does that mean? Gazru ala basar mipnei matanot. They went and they said on achila basar shel shchita. Why? So he says it's a gezerah because of the matanot kiuna, which means that they were stealing. Meaning that the fact that we came and we weren't giving matanot kiuna to the kohanim, so they went and they said you're not allowed to eat basar shchuta. Number two, gazru ala merchatzaot. You're not allowed to come and you're not allowed to have bathhouses. Why? Because they weren't careful in doing nida karoi, they weren't going to the mikveh properly, so they made a gezerah on the merchatzaot. Kamechatete shachve. The chabarim were chatim, and they were taking out the metim from their keves. Mamash, they were taking out the deceased from their kvanim. Says why? Because they were happy, right, on the gods of the goyim, right? That because of that. That means we have to be actually doing avelut, and therefore because of that they were taking out from the keves shneimar והייתה יד השם בכם ובותיכם, זו חטאתי שכבה, תמרמור בעוון חיים, מתים מתחתנים. Because of the sins of the people that are alive, the dead people are going to be taken out from their kvarim. Elmaleh, Rabbi Barman, he says, Rabbi Barman, it's written, you're not going to be gathered, you're not going to be buried. The dominant you, and it's written, V'nivchar mavet mechayim. What is this referring to? Elmaleh, nivchar mavet l'reshaim. It's better that the reshaim should die, shelo yichlu ba'olam hazeh v'yichetu, that they don't live in this world that you're going to sin. And then they're going. That means basically when a rasha dies, it's better. You should be happy. Yeah, why? He's going to stay here, do more of it, and then go to Geinam. It's just better that he dies. Katuv b'sefer ben Sida. It's written in the Sefer of Ben Sida. We just spoke about Ben Sida yesterday. You remember? Of Ben Sida, right? One no. Isha tova, matana tova. Yeah, a good wife is a good present. It's a present from Hashem. Bechek yere Elohim tinaten. By the way, that's what Sfaradim say to a father of a girl. Meaning Ashkenazim say, Shetizku legadala laTorah l'chupa ma'asim tovim. Sfaradim say, Bechek yere Elohim tinaten. In the bosom of a yere Elohim tinaten, of a God-fearing person, she should be given. She should get married to somebody who would be Yirat Shamayim. Bechek yere Elohim tinaten. It's a beautiful blessing. That's what Sfaradim say. A bad wife, Sarah lebala. It's Sarah to her husband. Maita kante, what should he do? You got a shena v'itrapem, divorce her. And then you get the refuah from the tzarat. Yeah? Next. Isha yafa asher bala nispar yemav kiflayim. When a woman is beautiful, fortunate is the husband. Why? He gets double his life. Yeah? Why? Because when she's beautiful, so he's happy. He's happy to come home. He sees a beautiful wife. Huh? Yeah? Yeah? Fine. 100%. She says, Halem enecha. Okay? Halem enecha. Bachaki left. Fine. Halem enecha. Me'eshetchem. What does that mean? Don't look at a beautiful woman. Maybe you're going to get caught in her trap. Al tet etzel bala limsoch imo yaim v'shechad. Don't come into her husband to start giving wine and beer. Ki betwar isha yafa rabbi mushchatu. Because of a beautiful woman, a lot of people were destroyed in this world. Ba'atzumim kol harugea, and a lot of people were destroyed in the next world as well. Rabbi mayu pitzer rochel. There are a lot of people that they used to go around as rochlim. They used to sell takshitim. Hamargilim lidvar avera. These are people that are margil to dvar avera. Kenitzotz mavir gachelet. Just like the sparks are making the coals. Kikluv maleof. Just like a kluv. How do you say kluv? It's the cage. Thank you. Full of the birds. Ken batehem elaim milma. So to their houses are full of milma. I mean, basically, he's telling you mitziut. Mitziut is how many people they come, they fall for beautiful women, and then kaddish for them in this world, the next world, and everything, and they destroy everything. Al tetzar tzarat machar ki lo teda ma yeled yom. A person does not know. Don't be upset at the tsar of the tzara of tomorrow. Why? Because you don't know what's going to happen. Meaning, don't worry about tomorrow, right? Why? Shema machar ba ve'enenu. Because maybe tomorrow it won't be there anymore. So he's being mitzvah. Huh? 100%. And he's being mitzvah on something that is not going to be for him. So what does he care? Menarabim itoch betecha. Don't have that a lot of people are coming into your house. Yeah? Don't have that people are always coming into your house. Like, very important, by the way. People don't realize this.
Especially if you have gears.
Velo akol tavi betecha. And not every person brings your house. I mean, for sure, don't bring a lot of people into your house. But even if you're going to bring someone into your house, lo kol adam, not everyone. You have to check very well who you're bringing right into your house. It's true, I agree with you 100%, Ronen. You have to be very, very careful. Yeah, Rabim yu dorshe shlomecha. Right, there's going to be a lot of people which are going to be looking for your good things. Even if you have so many people that kilu, they like you and they want you to, they want you to succeed, only reveal your secrets to 1 in 1,000 of them. That means imagine right now you have 1,000 people. Yeah, they all want your good. They want you to succeed. They want you to have atzlacha. They want you to build, to grow. Only to 1 in 1,000. Why? Yeah, kol sheker v'chazav. Everything is false. Yeah? Amar Rabasi says Rabbi Yassi, Em ben David ba ad shichlu kol neshama shebaguf. We learned this yesterday. Ben David is not going to come until all the neshama shebaguf they're going to be finished off. Shneimar kiruch melefnei yatov neshamot ani asiti. Tanya, we learned to write the Lezer Omer kol mishir yosef es v'yav v'yah kiru shovek damim. A person is not going to be yosef es v'yav v'yah. It's like he's murdering. Shneimar shovek adam no shovek. To better him afterwards it's written that temperulvu. Rabbi Yaakov Omer kilu ma'et admut. If he's not going to be doing pidyav rivya, it's like he's being mima'et admut. He's minimizing the demut of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shneimar says the pasuk ki betzelem Elohim asa et adam. Uchti batre, and it's written immediately afterwards. Vatemperulvu. Ben Azai Omer, Ben Azai says kilu shofech damim u'mema'et admut. He's doing both, right? He's shofech damim and mema'et admut. Shneimar vatemperulvu. Amru Ben Azai. Yesh nae doresh v'nae mekayem and doresh. Ve'ata noresh doresh v'nae mekayem. You didn't even get married, right? What's going on here? You didn't have children. What are you talking about then? Amar, well, you have to be nae doresh v'nae mekayem. Meaning, if you're already giving the drasha and you're giving the musad, keep it for yourself. Fulfill it. Practice what you preach, as they say. So he says, Amar lehem Ben Azai, says Ben Azai, what am I going to do? Nafshicha shka b'Torah. I love the Torah too much. Says other people could fill the world. I'm learning Torah. He loved Torah so much. I can't. So what? Let other people build the world. Tanya Gidech, we learned in another brighter. Anybody that's not going to be Yosef B'Yaviyah, Kilu Shofech Damim Shneimar, Shofech Dam Adam, Sam Yichle, and immediately after this written, V'atem Perulvul. L'Zam Nezari Omer, Kilu Me'atadum, V'Nezai Omer, V'chulu V'chulu, Amru Lo B'Nezai, Yishnei Doresh V'chulu V'chulu. Right? This is just that it's repeating what we just mentioned. So Tanu Rabbanan, Uvnu Choyomar, Shuvah Adonai Nimrod Alpei Yisrael. By the way, you should know, there's a lot of people, even Shuchet Tzibur, that they don't know how to read. Why? The first one is Shuva Limonach. The first one is Shuva. You heard of Shuva? You heard of Shuva. First is Shuva. The second one is Shuva Hashem. And there's differences in what the actual translation. But here it says Shuva Israel Melamed. We're going to the Mishnah. Says the Gemara 64a. Melamed she'en ashchina shora el al pachom mishnei alafim u'shnei revov mi'Yisrael. So from here we're going to learn that the Shekhinah is only going to be shora on not less than 22,000 Jews. Yeah, 22,000 Jews. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, so he says, Hare shayu Yisrael shnei alafim u'shnei revov chasecha. Even if they're going to be 22,000 minus 1, right? And we're going to be pidyav. We're not going to be also pidyav. No, inside they're going to be shchina to Israel. For sure, yes. But Chanan Mamishub Rabbi Eliezer Shneimar Chayav Mita. He's also going to be Chayav Mita because he's not going to be Chayav Osek pidyav rivya. Chayav Mita Shneimar Ubani Vayamon Nadav Avihu Ubanim Lo Yulem. Why does it say that they died and then it said they didn't have children? Because they didn't have children. That's why they died. If they had children, Lo Metu, they wouldn't have died. My mashkiach, the Yisrael of Shalom of Aluf. Shlita, he went and he said the explanation this is because there's a Chatam Sofer that says the zechut of the children would have saved them. Meaning that's why he said, why is it that we tell Bachurim not to drive in Israel? But the second they get married, they drive. He says, why? What's the difference? It's only dangerous no, because of his wife and children, HaKadosh Baruch Hu will protect him, that he doesn't, the merit of the wife and children, that he won't die because of the wife and children. So the more if he has a wife and children, there's more merit that he will stay alive. Because if he wasn't married, it's only him. It's only his zechuyot. So boom, kaddish. That's it. There's nothing else happens. Here he's got more. It's not because the adults know how to drive better than the teenagers. You understand? Acherim omrim, other people say, it's causing also the shekhinah to go away from Israel. Shneimar, as long as you have children, shekhinah shora. And zaracha achrecha, if you don't have children, on Mishora, who's going to be on shoreh? Alatzim alavanim, on the stones and the wood. Obviously not. So therefore, it has to be to do with the children. We continue with Zrat Hashem tomorrow. Have a wonderful day.